I have always loved creating characters, and specifically creating a full character. So both the character design, but then also giving them like a little personality and sometimes even a world they inhabit. You know, some kind of setting or some kind of lore. I've always done it for as long as I can remember. Holding a pencil, I've drawn characters. I've created characters. I've drawn comics very specifically. And I thought it'd be a really fun idea to dig up some of my oldest OCs and give them a little redesign. Because for some of these, I have a lot of nostalgia or just positive feelings associated with them. So I've chosen a batch of 4 characters. Well, there's more than 4. Some of them are like a couple, or some of them are like they go together. But like 4 units, I guess, of characters. They had nothing to do with each other. They were completely different stories, completely different characters. But for some reason, even as a kid, I grouped them together. I don't know why. It was like a set of 4 different stories that for some reason that was a set. I don't know. I don't think there was a true reason for that. But yeah, I'll start with the first one and the oldest one that I can ever remember creating a comic of. I have very fond feelings of this one, and I still remember many details about it. There's not a lot for a lot of these characters. They're so old I don't remember a lot of things about them, but this one I do remember a lot of details about them. The main characters were Debbie, that's the girl I'm drawing right here, and Duck, that's her pet duck. His name is Duck. That was the English word duck. Of course, I'm not a native English speaker, so to a small Dutch child the English word sounds very cool, I guess. Using an English word as a name, or in general using an English name. Also, the name Debbie, spelled Dabby. Yeah, again, Dutch child, not entirely familiar with English names or English spellings, but that's how I decided to spell it, I guess. So for her outfit, I did do a small redesign. She used to look like this. This is a really old drawing. I believe it was about 8 years old when I drew this. She can tell her dress is totally over-designed. It's very maximalist. It has like every pattern on it in the world. I decided to keep those patterns. You can't see her in the speed paint right now, coincidentally, but I decided to keep those patterns, but put them as like badges on her little vest that I gave her. But I did keep her skirt, because there was a period of time where I was gonna redesign Debbie and Duck again, but I was a coward and I nixed all the design elements that made her Debbie, and I just gave her jeans and a salmon-colored shirt. But I also really liked the way that looked on her, so I combined the two. So I gave her the salmon-colored shirt and the purple dress-inspired, pattern-inspired clothes she has on now. I also really like her little braid she has, very Pippi Longstocking style. This boy, his name is Danny. He's not in the title. The title is Debbie and Duck. It's about Debbie and Duck mostly, but Danny eventually shows up. He's like a secondary lead, I guess. Maybe they were love interests. I wasn't sure. You can tell by the style, by the way, this is totally inspired by the Tintin type and Suske and Wiske. This is like a very Dutch Flemish thing, but I grew up on those comics, and that's the style I was blatantly ripping off when I made these initially. So I tried to continue to rip off the style for the redesign. This is not my usual drawing style. I specifically tried to copy the style of those kinds of comics, because that's what I grew up reading, and that's why I created these characters, is because I was inspired by that. But yeah, they would just go on adventures. It was semi-realistic. They did not have powers or like supernatural things happening. Duck did not speak, but we as readers could read his thoughts. He was he was the most sarcastic, biting little fucker of all time. He had the most. I don't know how I wrote a character like this when I was 8. He is so snippy and just always, I don't know, I can't even explain it. I would have to show it somehow, but that's not within the scope of this video. Anyway, yeah, he also had a super over-designed shirt here, Danny. I don't have a reference for that. I haven't been able to dig up a drawing of him where I can see his shirt, but I did remember it was space-themed and was similarly over-designed to her dress. So I continued the space theme for him right here. Little rockets, some spaceships. It looks like a cute shirt. Looks like a fun shirt. Really happy with how it came out. I really like the colors. I really like how they look right here. So that's them, Debbie and Duck, and then also Danny. Yeah, for the second person right here, she was a superhero. This is the period of time in my life where I became completely unlocked when I watched The Incredibles when that came out. That changed my life. So I had a huge period of superhero characters right here. I never read like Marvel or anything like that, or DC, nothing like that. Not really a big thing in my country anyway, but The Incredibles unlocked me. So you can totally tell her outfit, super Incredibles, the style of it, the style of masks, super Incredibles. So I found these old drawings of her. I remember her color scheme very clearly. Apparently her name was supposed to be Chiley. I don't know what that is or how I thought it was supposed to be pronounced, because again, as a Dutch child, those letters, I don't know how I thought those were supposed to be pronounced. I also wrote down superpowers on this sketch. But I remembered giving those superpowers to another OC at a later time. So I've made the executive decision when drawing this redesign that I gave her different powers than I initially listed on this sheet. And I'll get back to those powers for another OC. So because of her color scheme and because of what I remembered when I remembered the design of this character, I gave her fire powers, because that's what I really thought she had. And when I found this old drawing, I was surprised to see those powers listed. But I think I must have shifted it around at some point and given those powers to another one and given her fire powers, this character. Because of her color scheme, right? It's totally fire themed, you'll see. She's like yellow and red, right? But yeah, her logo, also like her superhero logo, kind of looks like it has those molecular drawings going around the sea for Chiley. I don't know what that was about. So what I decided was that her power is essentially, it's not like basic fire, it's like chemical combustion. So instead of just generating a random fire out of nowhere, it's more like she's combusting specific chemicals that she has control over. So it can have any kind of color or effect. So it's not just fire, it's a little bit more visually interesting, I guess. But the base idea is the same thing. She has fire powers. But, it'd be less like a kind of flame and more like a sparkly firework kind of noise, right? Like a crispy kind of noise almost. But like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's very specific effects in my mind when I picture it, in my mind's ear. Yeah, her skin, even in my old drawings as a kid, is a little bit tan. And based on her citizen name that I gave her, which is Shakira, spelled Shakira. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It's likely that I maybe wanted her to be Latina. Now, I don't really know if I even had knowledge of parts of the world or other cultures or other names. But that's what I'm going with for this. I don't think her name is going to be actually Shakira. I also don't... Somebody told me Shakira is not even a Latina name. Yeah, it should have been Latina, not Latino, by the way. Sorry about that. But yeah, apparently that's not even... Apparently that's an Arabic name. But the singer is widely known to be Latina, so... I made the decision that the character is Latina. She has these chemical fire powers, you can say, but like little sparkles and effects on it. And it's a little pink flame, just to show that it's not like a basic flame. So you also see in a bit, I'm going to try to make a logo for her. And I wanted to keep the molecular, I don't know how even to call this, but I've always seen those like rings of circles around molecular drawings. I don't even know how to explain what I'm talking about, but maybe you'll see it visually when I start drawing it. Because that was in the original design with going around the sea on her logo. So I wanted to keep that because her power is now more a little chemical in nature. I decided that those rings going around, those would be the sea themselves, the letter C, and they would be going around a flame. Took a little bit of finagling to get that right. But yeah, I don't think it's the best logo I've ever made. Oh yeah, here are all the logo designs. Yeah, here we go. But it's fine. I think it's serviceable. It does its job, right? It does what it needs to do. In general, though, I'm really happy with how this drawing turns out. Her suit's all sparkly. The boots are high as fuck. The gloves go up high as fuck. That's all exactly as it was in the original drawing I did as a kid. So it's all true to form. I like that her mask has sort of like these flame effects. Her hairstyle is super 60s the way it came out. That wasn't even really intentional. It makes sense because that's when The Incredibles is set, I believe, which is what the style and character type is a rip-off of. But that wasn't even intentional. I think maybe in my mind's eye I wanted her hair to be a little bit more wavy, but my reference images aren't that consistent. I wasn't a very consistent artist as a kid. In some it looks more straight and some it looks more wavy, but I'm very happy with how she turned out. I think she's awesome. I like her pose. I like her body type. I gave her little nails on the ends of her gloves, even though that makes no sense, but I think it looks slay as hell. I love it. I love her. I decided on a new name because Charlie makes absolutely no sense. I think her name would be something along the lines of Chem Burst, like chemical burst. I don't know. I tried to find more feminine sounding names like Chemica or Combustia, but those sound lame as hell. So I think her name's going to be Chem Burst. That's her superhero name at least. Yeah, I think she's awesome. I really like how she came out. I'm just doing some random shit for the background because I never know what to do for backgrounds. But there she is. Love her a lot. Next batch of characters. So this one is another couple right here. Or I'm deciding that they're a brother and sister. I don't remember if they were a couple or just colleagues or siblings. But I've decided they were brother and sister. You can see this one I'm actually starting from a pencil sketch that I did. Because this one, these two had a little bit of a stronger change, I guess. So their names are Fire and Ice. I don't know if those are their government names or if these are perhaps code names. She's Fire, he's Ice. They were, I think, detectives or they were mystery solvers of some kind. I don't exactly remember. But I remember I was super obsessed with her hairstyle, the two buns on the side. And so I gave that to a character because I saw someone have it in something I saw on TV. And then I was obsessed with those two buns right there. And I wanted to give that to a bunch of characters all the time. And then his hair is absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's like a pillar straight up and then a pillar straight backwards. It's like Polnareff hair, but in two directions. It's like Guile Street Fighter hair, but up and backwards. Makes absolutely zero sense. And I was really thinking about how to incorporate that in a more logical looking character. Now I understand cartoon characters don't have to have hair that makes sense, but I don't know, for my character designs, I like it to be at least a little bit adherent to logic in the real world, So what I've decided to do is I made them mixed. As a kid, I just drew them white. I don't often color things anyway, but you can see in this drawing there, I don't think I made an effort to, give them any features that imply they're not white. But I think I chose to make them mixed. So I wanted to keep their color scheme. I wanted her to be brunette and him to be blonde, it seems, from this drawing. So if they're mixed, they could have some traits from one parent and some from the other. But I wanted very specifically to give them, black hair, so to speak, not in color, but in texture and in how you can work with it. So I wanted to make his hair make slightly more sense, the way he can keep it the way it looks. Of course, what I've made here, these sort of Liberty Spikes inspired things on his head, would still take a lot of upkeep, but it's easier, I think, than for a white person to put his hair up like that. So, and also I really like how it came out. I would totally think it fits. Also for her buns, I totally think it fits. I really like it. So yeah, I also, I decided on a whim while making this that, since part of his hair goes straight up and then part of his hair goes straight back, there's like a perfect slot between the two sections of hair where I could slot in headphones, pair of headphones. So I gave him headphones and I think it fits. I also try on multiple occasions to give them very 2000s era glasses. I think I tried that on him before and I'm going to try it on her later. But I ultimately decide against it. But I'm doing that because I think all these redesigns, I did it for Debbie and Duck a little bit, and I'll also do it for the next one that I do after this, as well as also Fire and Ice right here. But I really wanted to sort of, at least a little bit, incorporate fashion from the 2000s and 2010s, which is when these characters would have been made. Well, these would have been made 2000s. But, 2010s is what was the most active in, I think, maybe. Character design-wise. So I wanted to keep a lot of those elements. I also want to keep as many like clothing and color choice elements as I can. I want to be very true to my original drawings I did as a kid. So, for example, I want to keep the chunky belts. those chunky belts, for me, they're so like 2010s coded as hell. Like the Barbies that I had all had those. And they look awesome. I think they look really cool. I kept her boots. I kept the way her pants are tucked in her boots right there. I kept her pretty much the same for him. I changed his hair around a little bit. So it's no longer just a pillar of hair. I made it sort of spiky. So it's slightly more, I don't really want to call him punk. I don't think they were really punk types. They were cheeky though, you can maybe tell by their expressions. They were cheeky as hell. They were a little stubborn types, you know. I think they're probably siblings, and so they're solving mysteries together, I believe. I wanted their story to be a little bit more mature than Debbie and Duck, whatever that means. So I don't want to use the term gritty, but you know, because I mean I was like 8 when I came up with them. But I wanted them to have a little bit more serious themes, or maybe darker themes. So I don't know what that really means. Oh, I also really like how her hair, I made those little baby hairs, I think you call that. I really like drawing those little lines like that. I really like how that came out. Yeah, I'm struggling a lot with him and his hair, but in the end, also, I'm really, really happy with how the angle of his head came out right there. I think that's super awesome. I don't know. I'm never really good at angles. I don't use references, not because I don't think I should, but because I'm too lazy to find one that I can use. Because, you know, you have to stop what you're doing. You have to stop drawing and find the references, which can take forever to find one that fits your needs. And it just takes a while. And so I usually just don't. And I wing it until it looks acceptable to me. And I can totally admit this is a character flaw of mine. If I used references, not only would I be able to draw things faster, I would also be able to draw them better. So if something ever looks weird that I drew, or some perspective or some anatomy, just know that, yeah, my dumbass did not use a reference. And I'm sorry, but this is a flaw of mine. I would say I'm working on it, but it's a lie. Every time I tell myself this time I'm going to use references, and I never do it. Here, his hand, I'm struggling with his hand for a while. In the end, I do look at my own hand to draw it a little better, which is the most minimal form of a reference you can do, is you look at yourself, I guess. But I do really like how he came out. That's why I get impressed with myself when things turn out well, because they turn out well despite not using reference. But yeah, I really like the way they look. I really like their expressions. Their belts are awesome. She has the little heart shape on it, and he has the star shape on it. This is all exactly the way it was in my childhood drawing. His pants are flared at the bottom like bell-bottom jeans, exactly as it was in my drawing. I like staying true to that. So yeah, for their personalities, like I said, they were both sort of cheeky and a little like, you know, going their own way and not listening to maybe the adults. I'm guessing they were probably meant to be like teenagers, late teenagers, because when you're like 8, that's the coolest age range you can think of. So she was slightly more, I don't want to call her the bossy type, but she was the one that took charge and decided what they were going to do, trying to rein him in, and he was more of the silly one that made the jokes and the quips and the smart ass comments, you know what I mean? But they were both on the cheeky side, like I said. As for their names, why they're called Fire and Ice, I have no idea. I think, again, these were English words. I'm not translating them. The words were in English, fire and ice. And again, when you're a small child and you do not speak English, but all the media that your parents watch and everything you see is always in English, which you don't really understand. You understand some words, but you don't really understand what they're saying. It sounds all really cool and exotic to you, right? So I would use English sounding names. They were often not true English names. I just made them up with sounds that I think sounded English. Or I used English words that I knew. So the names are Fire and Ice. I don't think they had anything to do. They did not have powers in this story. They did not have abilities or supernatural things. His hair is maybe slightly reminiscent of icicles. I remember even thinking that as a kid, but that's the only reference. So right now I decided to put a little pattern on his pants with slightly more of a reference to ice. And then I tried to put some reference to fire on her clothes, but I decided against that. Because I just don't think it fits. I don't think it needs to have it. I think it's fine. I don't think they need to be. Even their colors, right? She has a warm colored shirt and he has a cool colored shirt. But yellow is the least warm of the warm colors, and green is the least cool of the cool colors. I just think it's interesting that I chose that. I could have given him an icy blue and I could have given her a very fiery orange, but I didn't. I really like those choices. I know. I don't think I thought about it as a kid, but I really dig it, so I kept it. I don't know how I came up with that, but I wanted to keep it. I want to be true to my designs. Love their belts. I put them in poses where their belts are hard to see, which is kind of stupid, but I tried to make sure you could at very least see what the shape is supposed to be, right? Like a heart shape and a star shape. As for the background, I sort of made the implication of a wall they might be sitting on, but my backgrounds aren't usually anything to write home about. But I'm really happy with them. Fire and Ice. They're cool. I want to be friends with them. You know, if I'm in high school with them, I want to be their friend. But I'm also afraid that they'll think they're too cool for me, and they probably are. Because look at them. I wasn't cool in high school. They clearly are, and they're solving mysteries at that. Yeah, they're awesome. I love them. Really like how this drawing came out. And like I said, I think they're probably twins. I'm making the executive decision now. They're twins, decided. I didn't remember what their relationship was, but I think that's what it probably is. Last character that I'm about to make here, very special one. Very special one. You'll see me actually start on the sketch phase right here to even get a pose going. You can already see her, spoiler, really big in the image. You can also see chem burst and fire and ice in this image. I was using this page as a sketch pad. This character did not have a name. She still doesn't. But this character, apparently, I was not the only person in the world, the only child that did this, that has this kind of character. This is what is apparently known online as a run-along. A run-along is a character or a creature or whatever that you would picture running along with your car when you're a child in the backseat of the car and you're looking out the window, you're watching everything outside whiz past, you're picturing something that runs along to the car. Apparently I wasn't the only one that did that. Apparently other people did that, and I was very happy when I found that out. For a lot of people, apparently it was some kind of creature. For a lot of people even, it seemed to be like a canine creature. But for me, it was always her. And I'm so happy because I found out I'm not the only one that had a skater specifically. There were other people that had skaters as run-alongs. I saw one person that said like skater / skateboarder. I don't think she ever had a skateboard. She was always on the inline roller skates. But I was so happy to hear that. So I wasn't the only one that had not just a run-along, but specifically a skater run-along. So yeah, she would skate along to the car at, I guess, extremely high speeds, right? Because it was usually on the highway that I did this. And, you know, she's grinding on the guardrails and she's dodging the street signs and, like, ducking under them and doing, like, flips and like, I don't know, she was always doing tricks on it. She was awesome. She was badass. She was never in, like, danger. She was never, like, about to hit something or you know, late to dodge something. She was always fully in control, styling on it, flexing on it, doing tricks on it. She was awesome. She was so cool. So I wanted to keep that energy in her redesign. You can tell I made her, like I gave her a really confident pose. We have a frog perspective looking up at her because she's just badass. You know, I looked at this drawing the day after I made it and then I thought, oh, that one knee pad is way too low. Her left, our right, it's too low. And it's going to bother me the whole time that I'm looking at this. But that's fine. I'm not going to change the drawing. It's done. I've put it out of my mind. I'm not going to make edits to a drawing I've already considered done. That's just the way that I am. So that knee pad's low, but that's whatever. Also, she's wearing knee pads. She's wearing protection, all right? Smart girl. Even though she was always fucking epic, doing tricks on it, never in any danger, she is still wearing protection. And that's how it should be, baby. She's wearing the elbow pads, the knee pads, and even the hand guards right there. I remembered this character very clearly. I remember having this character run along the car very clearly, but I always recalled her having sunglasses. But based on this drawing right here, here's the old drawing I found of her. As you can see, the big ponytail, I remember that clearly. I remembered clearly that she was wearing red. But apparently she's had a mask, not sunglasses. Like a butterfly mask, almost the Incredibles thing again, you know, the superhero type mask. But I really like her having sunglasses because I think she's cool like that. So I decided to combine those things and I gave her a butterfly mask that's also a pair of sunglasses. Also, look at these folds, these clothing folds. I was popping off when I drew this. Again, my ass, not using references. And I just decided to unlock for some reason. I just completely unlocked and I drew the most based clothing folds I've ever done. So I was really happy with that, with her top. So yeah, in the original, she does have, it's not really a shirt. It's also not really a dress. It's something in between lengthwise. Also very of its time, I think. I did decide to change that ever so slightly to something else of the same time. She has a shirt with an undershirt below it with the long sleeves. And then her undershirt, you'll see when I start coloring, but I give that stripes, and the stripes I gave it are directly referenced from a shirt I actually owned. And then the shirt above that, I actually draw a logo on that for her. So she has the butterfly glasses. I guess I made them glasses, used to be a mask, they're now glasses in the redesign. I decided to keep that butterfly theme, so she'll get like a butterfly logo with a lightning bolt through it, because she's fast, right? That's like her thing. Yeah, I love her. Her pose is awesome because she's epic. She has like her tongue out because she's a little crazy. She's nuts, maybe like adrenaline junkie type. I don't think she had like lore like all the other ones did. I don't think she was specifically going on adventures or had powers, I guess, except for keeping up with the car at highway speeds. She just existed to be the run along. So I don't think there was lore to her story at all. She's just epic. She's just vibing. She's based. I gave her little bedazzlings on the glasses, and you'll see way later I'll also start putting bedazzlings on her jeans because it just fits the time period, okay? She would have thought it was cool, and I would have agreed with her. She looked fucking badass and epic. I also gave her the little fang. That's more anime inspired, I'll admit. And my anime phase didn't start until later when I discovered manga anime style. That really shifted my drawing style. But that wasn't at this age. That was slightly later. I think it started when I discovered Totally Spies and then went from there. But that wasn't yet, I think, at this point. Or maybe it was about to happen, didn't happen yet. Oh, here I'm making some edits to Fire and Ice, but that's fine. But yeah, no anime yet when I originally created her, no anime knowledge yet. But I did decide for the redesign. I gave the very typical anime fang. Because that just fits this character, man. Because she's just that type of character. She's just badass. And I want to be her friend. And the thing is, I think she would be my friend. I think she'd be like, fuck yeah, you know? I don't know. I just think she's awesome. And I'm not in a car a lot anymore. I don't own a car, and I don't usually hitch a ride to many places. If I need to go somewhere, I bike there, or I take public transport most of the time. So I haven't, quote unquote, seen her in a while. Oh, here's the logo I'm doing. But I really want to see her again. So maybe next time I'm in a car, maybe even in the train, that would work. I'll try to picture her again, because I'm looking at my window right now, trying to picture her doing tricks on it just outside my house. But it's not the same, man. A run along should be running along. You can't do it when you're not in motion. The outside should be whizzing past me for me to be able to picture her. I just can't even see her right now. It's just like, it doesn't work. She needs to be doing her tricks. I tried to put a scrunchie in, but it didn't work. Also, every character I've ever made with her hair put up, ponytail, braids, scrunchies, buns, it doesn't matter. I always made the scrunchie red. Cannot explain this. Every single, Debbie has it, Fire has it, and this character has it in my old drawings. Always red. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I put some Frutiger Metro as Vector Bloom on her pants. I just decided that's what it needed. I just decided that's what fits the aesthetic, and it does. And she would wear that, and it looks awesome, and it looks badass on her. And I put bedazzlings on it, and you'll see later I'll start even putting little sparkles on it, like there's sparkles coming off of it and off her sunglasses and stuff like that. Because yeah, she's just based like that. I don't know, she's awesome. I'm really happy with her. I love her so much. She's so cool. She's the coolest. Yeah, I should picture her again. Next time I'm in a moving vehicle, I'll picture her running along again. She deserves her comeback. I really like the way she came out. I like the way I made the redesign with her clothes, her big ass blonde ponytail that goes like all the way down to her legs. Totally the way she should be, and it billows behind her like a flag in the wind when she's doing her running along. She was awesome. I loved her so much. But yeah, no lore. I don't even think she needs lore. I don't think she should have lore. I think she should just be running along to the car. Yeah, really happy with how she turned out. Love the background as well. I did a little like, bam, explosions, bam, exciting lines. I don't even know what to call this. It's just a mess of colors, but I love it. Very happy with her as well. Very happy with all my redesigns. So yeah, that's her. She still doesn't have a name. I'm calling her the Run Along TM. But yeah, that's it. That's everybody. That's all the redesigns I did. I really, really, really enjoyed doing this. And I absolutely am going to do more. I want to do more redesigns. So I've dug up a whole stash of old drawings. So I've made a selection of ones that I think are good, solid designs that I want to do redesigns of. And I think I'll probably make this a series. Because some of these are like legitimately really good. I don't remember making all of them, but they're awesome. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. I'm definitely going to put these these 4 clusters of characters up on Artfight. I'll probably link my my Artfight account in the description or something. But yeah, I loved doing this, and I'm absolutely going to do it some more in the future.